The difference in this Cardinals team, it's yes, it's a new head coach, it's a new GM relative to where they were. It's also it's seemingly a change in the quarterback that hasn't left.
Yeah, there is definitely a dynamic. Leadership in an NFL locker room is a lot different, I think, than any other sport. And the reason being is because of its overt, and I mean overt, physicality. Hyper aggressive alpha males walking around because of the physical nature of the sport. It's one of the reasons why, Luke, you've got to have a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. You've got to have a quarterback that is a leader. He's a leader based on the position, and you better have a leader.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked to some guys, former players like Anquan Bolden, who in the past said, you don't necessarily have to have the quarterback be the leader.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, he was referencing that Baltimore team that he was on
With Joe Flacco.
Yeah. And he did. I remember this interview. I mean, he was quick to say, like, look, it's not like Joe Flacco's like a bad leader. He just wasn't like the leader on the team.
But that is the exception way more than it is the rule.
See, and I think that's because I remember at the time you were like, well, I just can't believe, Anquan Bolden just said that. But I think what it is what you just said. It's probably the exception more than the rule. It's not impossible. It's not like if your quarterback's a leader, you can't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But you probably have to have about 10 other leaders that are really strong. Like that Baltimore team clearly had strong leadership.
Big
And
time.
it's not like Joe Flacco was undercutting anybody. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. But I find it fascinating that there was all that talk about the Cardinals and how they were stuck, and now they never changed the quarterback. It seems like the quarterback has actually changed a little bit personality-wise.
Well, we started to hear this change last year. Remember, Luke, this was something in Kyler Murray's tone when he started playing games. Remember,
Yeah.
we were all like, wow. there was no doubt about it. His tone was one of encouragement for the most part, and I think he was encouraged based on what he was doing and the opportunity he was getting and the offense, and he could see himself developing. I think it started there for the most part, and now it's just starting to blossom a little bit more. I will say that Jonathan Gannon made it his responsibility, basically, for lack of a better way of saying it, of taking Kyler Murray under his wing and mentoring him. And I think he's done a great job. Nobody talks enough about that. I think he has brought Kyler Murray along. And as you were saying, hopefully this is going to be one of the things that Mike Budenholzer for the Suns will be able to do with some of their leadership, like Devin Booker, and maybe bring something out in Book that needs to be brought out for him to lead this team.
It's an interesting parallel. I mean, I know they're different sports. They're much different roster constructions, much different roster sizes. The Suns are not coming off a disastrous season where they went whatever the equivalent of 4-13 is, and just completely. But the ending of it was very disappointing. Yeah. So there are some similarities, I think. Here's Jonathan Gannon on Friday talking about his first real offseason now with Kyler Murray, because obviously Gannon got here in the offseason last year and Kyler was hurt.
So this is my second offseason, but really in my mind it's my first offseason with him. Just because he's now acclimated into the program. You know what I mean? He wasn't doing what he's doing right now last year. So, yeah, we're going on year 2, but this is really year 1 off season for me where I've seen him on the field with everybody, in the weight room with everybody, lifting and meetings and all that stuff with everybody. So that's been really cool. And like I said, guys, I think his game's going to go to another level. I know it is. I've been extremely pleased with where he's at, what he's doing, the command and the leadership that he's displaying right now. I mean, I think it was the best RVA I've ever seen in my life on Wednesday, truthfully. I had to watch it a couple times. Did my eyes really see what I just saw? Not to put a bunch of pressure on him, but he's doing extremely well.
Okay, so I'm going to take that update right there from Jonathan Gannon. I'm going to put that in the positive column.
Yeah, put that
There's
in the
no
positive.
doubt about that. Listen, this is going to be really, really interesting. Monty Ossenfort and the Arizona Cardinals truly believe when they draft rookies that it takes 2 years for them to actually show you what they're going to be,
Okay,
or what they may be capable of being the rest of their careers for the most part. 2 years is what they believe. This is just my knowledge, listening to them. talk about their rookies. They think it takes 2 years.
Everything takes 2 years today.
So,
Richard Jefferson and Monty Osborne.
Yeah, right. No, not Richard Jefferson. I disagree with Richard.
Okay.
I'm just saying right now. But this 2 years to develop. Kyler Murray in his second year, where he has gone out, he's played 8 games for him. Now, how much better can Kyler Murray get in this offense? That is question one that needs to be answered in 2024.
Yeah, well, it's funny even just listening to you talk. Like when you don't have the intangibles, it's overwhelming, right? Because you can't even necessarily conceptualize it or quantify it, but you're just like, man, we're screwed. But then when you do have the intangibles, the logical response is, well, yeah, you got to prove it on the field. Like, yeah, I get it. The Cardinals won 4 games last year. I get it. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and win 11 next year.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be disappointed if it's anything less than 8. I mean, it probably should be right in the 8 to 9 range, but there is a possibility if these intangibles hold up through adversity, because there will be adversity, and if the stakes are raised and you're an actual playoff contender, that adversity is going to hit a lot harder. But if this holds up, if these intangibles hold up through that, there's possibility this team could take off here in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Can I just say right now, I will be really disappointed if they don't win at least 9 games.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I think I'm right there with you.
I'm 9 or 10. I'm serious. I know you're like, what basis would you have for that? Well, you know, and I'm going to look at the fact they should have been 4-4 in their last 8 games with Kyler Murray, with an inferior roster compared to what they have right now.
Yeah.
Now, again, injuries matter. There's no doubt about that. But their roster is so much better right now in year 2 than it was in year 1.
I think that's the range, though, what you just said. Like, I will absolutely be disappointed if they win less than 8 games. Yeah, injuries, maybe you get down to 7 or whatever. I think the range is probably about 7 to 10 next season. And yeah, like you would even, like you're saying right there, it almost feels weird to say it, because I know as we say, oh, the Cardinals should win at least 8 games next year, there's people like, dude, they've won 8 games the last 2 years. It doesn't matter what happened 2 years ago anymore. It really doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, Kyler Murray is healthy now. It seems like he has the right approach to everything, a much different, a much more evolved approach to everything. And now he's got weapons around him that he did not have last season. And he's going to play, ideally, more than, 8 games last year. 8 games coming off an injury last year with no offseason.
Year 2, man. Year 2 for Kyler Murray. I cannot help it. Every time I think about that right now, I think, where can he really get better? Well, I think his command of all the offense that Drew Petzing wants to run. And that means even get better with his under center play right now. And throwing the ball from the pocket. Those 2 things right there. Oh, my goodness. Look at the shotgun's important. It is. In the NFL in the year 2024 of our Lord, it's still important. The shotgun, the pistol, it's very important, a huge part of what an offense is going to look like. But having said that, man, throwing the ball from the pocket off of play action, this is where Kyler Murray can grow the most. And to me, he showed that he could actually do it last year. And that's the reason why the Cardinals are building their team around him this year, because of what he showed last year.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.